Hey everyone, welcome to Live with NORML. I'm J.M. Padini, the Development Director for the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws. It's Friday, June 16th, 2023. Let's get down to it. We're going to answer all of your burning questions live. Thanks so much for joining us this Friday. Hey, hey Joshua, hey, good to see you. Hey friends, take a quick second and hey Dwayne. Drop in the chat right now. Tell us who you are, where you're watching from, and let us know if you've got questions so we can answer them. Hello, Dwayne. Hello, Wade. Good to see you. Hello, Silence Type Garden, who's been waiting patiently for us to start this show. All right, we're going to talk about all the cannabis news that's happened this week, get you some state policy updates. Hey, Joshua in Bristol. Hello, Sherry. Hey, Stacy in Pennsylvania. Good to see you. Wade, you know I'm going to say, Dwayne, you know I'm going to say it. Oh, hold on a second. I have to reconnect one of our destinations. I hope this doesn't break the internet. Good. You know what I wanted to do in the middle of the show was reconnect one of our StreamYard links. Hey, so Dwayne, I am going to say it for everyone because it's hilarious. You might think that this is pronounced friends, not from Virginia, you know, the way you would pronounce it in French. It's not. It sounds like fuck your county. I did pronounce it very carefully, exactly the way people in Virginia say it. Hey, John in Rich Creek. Hey, Tommy, good to see you. Hey, James. All right, friends, we're going to look, you got to stop telling me about how LinkedIn is broken, StreamYard. We're just going to have to live with that for today. There's a lot of cannabis legislation still pending across the US, and you can take action on all of it. All the bills are still pending at norml.org/act. In California, there was action on two bills. Senate Bill 302 is waiting for its hearing in the Health Committee on June 20th. This bill would expand the Compassionate Access to Medical Cannabis Act, allow more patients in California healthcare facilities the option to use medical cannabis. If you're in California, please send an alert in support of that bill. Likewise, SB 51 is awaiting a hearing on 627 in Assembly Business and Professions Committee. And that bill would authorize the Department of Cannabis Control to issue provisional licenses to local cannabis equity applicants. In Colorado, good news, House Bill 1279 was signed into law by Governor Polis. This removes the prohibition on online cannabis sales for residents in the state of Colorado. Some states, of course, already have this. Congratulations, Colorado. Now you can purchase your cannabis online. You still have to go present ID to pick it up. In Connecticut, House Bill 6941 was signed into law by Governor Lamont. This provides some tax reforms for state licensed cannabis businesses, and ultimately this is good for consumers because costs are always passed on to you. In Illinois, got some tax action happening there as well. HB 3817 was signed into law by Governor Pritzker, and this will allow state licensed cannabis businesses to take state level tax deductions. And that, of course, good news for consumers because lower costs for product means lower costs for you. In Louisiana, we're looking at House Bill 460, allowing regulators to issue additional licenses and increase the number of available medical cannabis dispensaries. This bill is on its way to the governor, awaiting action. House Bill 28, I know how numbers work, 286 HB 286 has been signed by the governor, and this is great news. We just published a blog about this today. If you want to go grab the blog for that, Cassidy, on the front page, House Bill 286 is law. And so those with first-time offenses in Louisiana can apply for an expungement. Good news in Louisiana all around. Hey, Cannabis Kelly in Missouri, good to see you here. Hey, JC in Virginia Beach. Humble, tell me more how Virginia has become a catch-22 state. Tell me more. I mean, for real, like, what do you think that means? I also heard, and I think we talked about this a few weeks ago, Humble, but a former congressman who's now running for state office in Virginia said that Virginia's found the sweet spot, and I like that's spoken from like such a point of privilege and irresponsibility. It's crazy. Virginia's not found the sweet spot. I mean, maybe if you're a dealer. Let's get through these. Maine, legislative document 1311 is on its way to the governor, and I think this one's pretty interesting because it would amend state law so that certain individuals on probation or parole wouldn't be able to be sanctioned for their use or possession of cannabis. That's an exciting bill. Legislative document 1946 in Maine failed. And this is good because this one sought to increase taxes on adult use cannabis. Attempted to increase taxes from 5.5% to 10%. And this bill failed in the House in Maine, so good job, Maine House. Exactly, Humble. All right, let's look at Nevada. Nevada, SB 277, that bill has been sent to the governor, and it would allow dispensaries to serve both medical and adult use customers. Makes sense, right? It also would increase the legal limits for flour from up to 2.5 ounces, and it increases the allowable possession limits for concentrates up to 1/8 of an ounce. If you're in Nevada, take action on that bill right now. Let the governor know you want that bill signed. Got 2 bills in New York. Well, 2 of them are companion bills, so I guess technically 3. But we've got SB 320 and AB 109 that would prohibit drug testing or screening of pregnant or postpartum people unless the individual consents within the scope of their medical care, or if the testing or screening is necessary for like a medical emergency. But these bills really work to preserve the trust between a pregnant or a perinatal person and their healthcare provider by prohibiting drug testing without informed consent. Super, super important. Please, if you are in New York, send this action alert. Also in New York, SB 7508 has passed through the Assembly and is awaiting concurrence by the Senate before it can go to the governor. It would allow certain tax deductions at the state level. Pennsylvania. I know we have some Pennsylvania viewers, so here we go. This is for you. House Bills 985 and 986 would forbid landlords from discriminating against or evicting tenants, both in commercial and residential spaces, on the basis of their medical cannabis use. So if you're in Pennsylvania, please send an action alert in support of these 2 bills. Scoot on over to Ohio. We've got LD 193. It's awaiting a hearing in the House Ag Committee. And this bill seeks to increase the number of authorized medical cannabis dispensaries. So if you're in Ohio, send a message in support of LD 193. Oklahoma, good news in Oklahoma. Governor Kevin Stitt vetoed SB 437, which sought to impose new restrictions on medical cannabis access, both for that would have impacted physicians, authorizing physicians, and the patients as well, and in particular, minor patients requiring two physicians to authorize them. It also would have imposed THC limits on certain edible products, and we don't really know what Governor Stitt's opposition was to this legislation, but it's been vetoed nonetheless. And since session is over in Oklahoma, there's no opportunity for the legislature to overturn his veto at this time. So high five, Oklahoma, doing something right this year. And here we go, last one, before we get to your burning questions. In Vermont, good news. House Bill 270 passed both the House and the Senate. It's awaiting action from the governor. It increases the number of plants that patients are able to cultivate at home from it increases it up to 12 total. This doesn't look right. Sorry. This is not what's in the story summary online. So I'm going to read that instead of this little blurb. So now it's up to 12 in Vermont, and this law took effect immediately. So six plants can be mature, but 12 total. And patients are able to possess the total harvest of their plants now in Vermont. Virginia has a similar allowance for adult use cultivation, where you can possess whatever you've cultivated, as do other states. Big win in Vermont. It also increases the amount of THC that's allowed in a single serving of a medical cannabis product. It also expands medical cannabis access to patients with PTSD and increases the total number of patients that a caregiver can serve at any time. So there we go. That's what's happening in Vermont. That is the legislative roundup for today, friends. So I hope you're ready with your questions. Hey, Michael in Wyoming, good to see you here. Hey, Mike in California, good to see you back as well, friend. Ooh, wait, you told me your name earlier, and it is not what your user ID is, and I want to be respectful, so I'm gonna scroll up real slowly, apparently. Stacy in Pennsylvania. I see your question, Stacy. About Delaware. I believe Delaware's legislation takes effect July 1st. If you want to see what has been enacted in Delaware, hey, let me make that easy. Oh, let me make it not easy for you, Stacy. Depenalization for adult use has been enacted, of course, in Delaware, as has legislation to legalize adult use. You can read the totality of House Bill 2, which is the legalization bill, Stacy. Here. There we go. I did it, and I didn't break the internets. Oh, gave me the same one twice. Great, whatever. That's what's up in Delaware. I believe July 1st. I know Delaware NORML had planned to have a celebration event. I think it was this either today or this weekend, but they've had to postpone it because the weather is terrible. It's terrible here in Virginia. It's like nighttime outside right now. And so I know that their event was planned to be somewhere on the water, and that just wasn't, for safety reasons, they decided to postpone that. Stacy, I have no doubt that Cassidy can also take a quick look on the NORML website and find the last Delaware recap article that we have as well. Hey, Kwame, good to see you back. Hey, Sue, good to see you as well. Any updates? Hey, EJ, good to see you. Any updates on progress in Arkansas? No? No. No, I don't have any Arkansas updates for you. It sounds terrible. I don't have any Arkansas updates for you today. And I believe that Arkansas has one bill still pending, and this is HR 1079, at least according to our bill tracker. Oh, well, the last action on it was in April. I can drop that for you here. You're going to see a Bill Track 50 link come up. That's for Arkansas HR 1079. The intent of this bill is that it recognizes that fees for registry identification cards for qualifying patients cause a financial strain, and requests the Department of Health to promulgate rules to ease that financial burden. Yeah, the last thing I see is that it was read and adopted on April 5th. Hey, Laura in Ohio. Good to see you. Hey, MJ, doing okay? MJ, well, Laura, what about Ohio? More specifically, what about Ohio? Please and thank you. How do I make that go back? In Ohio, there are 3 bills that appear to still be pending. A legalization bill, HB 168, a medical access bill, HB 193, and what looks like a per se DUID bill, SB 26. You can find all of those on our ACT page. And NORML's position is support for all 3 of these bills, so we would encourage you to send the action alert in support. The legalization bill has been referred to finance in the House. The medical access bill was scheduled to be heard on June 13th. I cannot see from this page if it was, but it was scheduled to be heard on June 13th in House Ag. And the per se bill was scheduled to be heard May 9th in finance. Okay, so back to your question. You're welcome, EJ. Back to your question. MJ, doing okay. What are the chances for rescheduling of marijuana federally by year's end? No. I'm sorry to just be that blunt, but no. There's not currently a pathway for that. That's how I will say that. Now there has been a lot of chatter over the past few days around this notion that Health and Human Services or the DEA could finalize their scheduling review later this year. So that's where we are on that sort of broader issue around cannabis scheduling at the federal level. There's been talk, particularly from the administration, that they're from the DEA, that they might be able to have some information, some position statement by recommendation by the end of this year. But no, we're not looking to see a descheduling bill. There isn't rescheduling. Well, that could be the proposal, but that's not a proposal that at this point in time we think is appropriate. Is Wyoming doing anything yet? Asks Michael. I mean, nothing quickly, but there's no pending legislation in Wyoming. We do, of course, Michael, have a Wyoming NORML chapter, and I would encourage you to get involved. If you want to get more involved, you can reach out to us at chapters@norml.org, and we'll get you plugged right in. David, we are also hoping for some serious traction down in South Carolina this year. There are 9 bills pending in South Carolina, and wouldn't it be great if South Carolina did something, even if it were tiny? Like I know, I get it, everyone. We want everything and we want it now, but it's okay to take these small wins and make them better in the next session. So don't get, caught up in this. It's not, it's not perfect, so we're going to oppose it mentality, right? You have to start somewhere, and particularly in states like South Carolina, where it's really difficult to advance comprehensive reform legislation. You have to be willing to take those small wins, celebrate them as victories, and come back and keep working at it. Promise you it works. Still 9 bills pending in South Carolina. You've got veterans access, you've got medical access. I can't see what that one is. You've got a decrim bill pending, 2 decrim bills pending, an odor bill, another legalization bill, a referendum on medical and adult use, and another medical bill. I did, ma'ams. I did. We did. The NORML did file an amicus brief. I know Cassidy can grab the link to that story. It is still on the homepage of NORML. Go down just a little bit. You're gonna have to click that tab. We did. Why can't I find it? Anyhow, we did. Cassidy will grab that for you and drop it in there. But we submitted an amicus brief in a federal case challenging government's gun ban for medical cannabis consumers. You're welcome, Laura. Thank you, Humble, for clarifying. Virginia is an adult use state with 0 means of access outside of the adult use program. Correct. Elections have consequences. Vote better, friends. You can grow your own. There's no sale of seeds or clones or anything. Yep, that is accurate. That is accurate, Humble. It's like DC. We call it legalization, but at the end of the day, it's depenalization, because that's what legalization absent commodification is. Now, the intent, of course, the legislative intent has always been in Virginia to commodify, to create a regulatory structure for purchase and sale. But those elections, they're having some consequences, aren't they? We've got an administration who is actively opposing any efforts to expand retail access to cannabis, be it medical or adult. And then the administration, which belongs to the governor, right? You've got the governor out there saying, it's the responsibility of the legislature to get me a bill. Meanwhile, his administration is actively saying, do not send that bill out of committee. So we like to call that liar, liar, pants on fire. It's the technical term. Everyone be sure you vote. Hey, if you're in Virginia on June 20th, there may be a primary where you live. So check out who's on your ballot at vote.normal.org. Make sure you vote. Hey MJ, that's what you're hearing about. I want to know what that means if their assessment is favorable. We really don't know. They've yet to put forth any favorable assessments. So we'll see if it's any different this time. Hey James, James asks what other states recognize Virginia's medical card. I believe we have heard Hawaii patients are able to, you have to get a temporary card, but if you're a Virginia patient, you're able to get a temporary card, I think is how that went, according to one of our members. In Hawaii, DC will accept your certificate or your card, and I think we have heard that in Nevada, Virginia patients are able to shop on the medical side, as opposed to the adult use side. But hey, if you have been to another state and experienced reciprocity, let us know so we can tell you. Hey, Mike, I'm glad to hear that cannabis has been very effective for your Parkinson's. We actually wrote about Parkinson's and cannabis last week, so I know that hit your inbox last Thursday. It's a good story. Oh, that maybe it was a week before. Gosh darn it. Okay, 2 weeks ago. I'm going to share that story with you again since you mentioned it, Mike. Here we go. Yeah, there was a study done, and researchers said that patients reported 87% of them noted improvement in any Parkinson's symptoms after starting medical cannabis. So another study supporting use of medical cannabis for Parkinson's. And there you have it, right out of Mike's mouth. Some love for South Carolina in here. Sue, that's a great question. How much research is needed? Cannabis is one of the most studied substances on the planet. So much so that we have a whole book about it. A book that is has been, I don't know if this is when we switched to this one, we used to call it emerging clinical applications, but now it's just clinical applications because it's not emerging anymore. This is like the 10th version of this book, Clinical Applications for Cannabis and Cannabinoids, a review of the recent scientific literature. Data is in abundance. Hey, Paul, we talked about rescheduling of cannabis at the federal level just a few minutes ago, so I hope you heard that. NORML is of the opinion that that is not the appropriate pathway, and it would not do all of the things that people think it would do. You'll see more. You have seen plenty from us on rescheduling previously, and hopefully you will see more comment from us next week on rescheduling. Hello, Bottom Line in Davenport, Florida. I know where that is because I'm from Orlando. Yeah, Joshua, there are a lot of stores that sell hemp all over Southwest Virginia. We're not gonna have any of that. So your comment is hilarious. That's right, John. Smoke the vote. That is the name of our voter guide. Thank you for knowing. Will it, Folly? We'll find out. Folly mentions it in DC. A citizen won a lawsuit complaining about the odor of cannabis. Yes, we've heard about it. Will it cause problems? It could. Could. So we talked extensively. There were a lot of us that are either in Florida or from Florida that were just in Denver, Colorado for the NORML Denver legal seminar. And we talked a lot about the prospects in Florida. Now, there we've seen multiple initiatives, competing initiatives over the year, but the one with the biggest funding is the one that's backed by Trulieve. And look, let's be realistic. If there's one that's at the front of the pack and it's the one that has the most money behind it, I think upwards of $38 million at this point, and it is creating a pathway to end the arrest of cannabis consumers. You know, like something we talk about a lot here is, hey, how many people should go to jail until we get the version of legalization that suits your business objectives? We think zero. So, I think it's still a heavy lift in Florida. There may be voter support there, but y'all have a terrible governor. He's not going to make it easy. Hey, Dennis, good to see you. Hey, Jen, we're talking about whatever you want to talk about. Federal, Pennsylvania, science. Bring us your burning questions, and we'll try our best to get you answers, Jen. When is it coming off of Schedule 1? Asks Jen. That's a great question. Ultimately, it is incumbent upon Congress to pass legislation that removes marijuana from the Federal Controlled Substances Act and allows states to continue setting their own policies, but without any threat of federal interference. Oh, hey, Steve in Iowa. Okay. Okay, you have a medical card. You'd have to go to a state that has sales in order to make purchase. You have to be authorized patient in that state in order to ask me more of your question. Right? Bottom line. Just saying. He's not a good dude. It's not. And he's not going to make it easy. Hey, fun story for all of you in Florida. Seems like the appropriate time to share it, right? Right? Everyone in Florida knows John Morgan. Morgan and Morgan for the people. John and I used to work together at Disney, like hourly employees together at Disney. And now we both have some involvement in cannabis policy. And I think that's super weird. Also cool. So just think about that every time you see Morgan and Morgan for the people. We used to be very sweaty together because it's hot in Florida. Don't think weird things. Yeah, we worked in entertainment together in Florida at Disney. All right, hey, drop some emoji for me. Let's make it a green one, right? Give me some green emoji. If you, oops, got tilted. If you have already received this, have I mailed you this yet? Have I mailed you your 2023 official NORML member card? Have I? If you've donated $35 or more this year, then yes. Yes, I have. But if I haven't yet mailed you one of these, I would love to. Just go to norml.org/join. And I'm gonna I personally am gonna mail this to you. It's always a good time. What else do we have to talk about? Hey, it's June, in case you didn't know that. It's been June for the past 16 days, and June is Pride Month. So of course we have merchandise to go with that, and we don't just have it up during June. We're not that kind of organization. We've got it up year round so that you can let people know. How does video work? Coming out, whatever, you can read. It says coming out green. Hey, if you're going to a Pride celebration, or if you just want to let people know that you're coming out of the cannabis closet, you can snag one of these bad boys in the NORML web store. What's my take? Hello, Renisha. You're asking what is my take on the Ohio bill. It's a tall ask here, my friend, but let me try to catch up. What's our take on Ohio Bill 168? Well, we support the measure. I can see that it was introduced in May, and that it was the last action on it was referred to the Finance Committee on May 23rd. That's what I can tell you about it. But also, I can tell you that we have an action alert, so you can send a message in support of this effort to your lawmakers right now. So easy, just a few quick clicks. Share it, share it, share it. Get everyone you know to send an action alert. Please and thank you, Renisha. No, Jen, there is no personal cultivation in the state of Florida. They have a medical cannabis program. It's super expensive, and you think you still have to renew your card every 9 months. It's not 12, which seems like the normal time, but what I understand is that it's a lot more expensive than other states. All right, MJ, I'm going to read your comment. MJ says they were under the impression that there was an independent review done by a couple of different law firms, and there's a lot of conjecture on whether descheduling or rescheduling of marijuana federally has to go through Congress. It does, or if the president has the authority to do it on his own. NORML is not of the opinion that marijuana can be removed from the Federal Controlled Substances Act by executive order. We, I think, answer this question on the show. I do on Fridays. I think we answer this every week. He could absolutely put forth an executive order today calling for the removal of marijuana from the federal CSA. That's not how it works. It takes an act of Congress. That's NORML's position. NORML's been doing this for over half a century. So just gonna put that footnote there. Hey, Robbie, I don't have any specific recommendations for people with Crohn's disease. I do know from reading this book that there is evidence supporting efficacy of THCA, that's tetrahydrocannabinolic acid. That's how THC is found naturally in the plant. There's evidence supporting the regeneration of intestinal lining tissues with THCA. That would be through oral consumption. And I do have some good friends who have Crohn's that are medical cannabis patients, and feel like it is a lifesaver. I hope, Robbie, that I see you are in Texas. I hope you're connected with Texas NORML. They're such an amazing chapter. So if you aren't yet, please get connected with them, texasnormal.org. Renisha, I'm glad I said your name correctly. You're welcome. Yes, see, bottom line. It's always entertaining to try to figure out how to address people. I do know Karen Goldstein. Absolutely know Karen. Oh, Jen, $50 in Pennsylvania is much better renewal price than in Florida. What I understand from folks in Florida is that it's upwards of like $350 for their renewals. All right, Kelly. Let's hear it from Kelly. Kelly says Missouri brought in $100 million in 4 weeks of adult use legalization. Yeah, it is very profitable, but that's, if profits, if tax revenue were enough, then, prohibition would be over. It isn't. People have a lot of feelings about marijuana. And that's how we legislate, folks, based on feelings, not necessarily based on facts. Well, look, I understand, MJ, that you may not be satisfied, and that's totally a fair position to be, a fair position to hold regarding President Biden's actions on cannabis. But we'll also add that NORML is of the opinion that President Biden's actions on cannabis are remarkably historic. And I understand he didn't just end prohibition like that, right? That'd be cool, but that's not where Congress is. But he has, to grin and bear it while I say this, he has done more than any president when it comes to advancing federal cannabis policy reform. And I know that looking at, 6,000 people who had their federal marijuana records pardoned, I know that doesn't seem all that important, if you don't have a federal marijuana possession conviction, or maybe you think there aren't a lot of people who have them. There are, but these people got their lives back. I just dropped a blog in there from an organizer we know who happened to have gotten pardon, and it is a big deal. And there's just hope that there will be more. There's hope that there will be more. Oh, Robbie, I'm so glad to hear that you are a member of Texas NORML. That's amazing. Jen, that is great news for you. I am psyched that you're able to use cannabis to help you. Also, amazing. Yeah. Thanks for joining us, Kelly. Appreciate you. Yeah, NORML is absolutely, Jen says, I thought NORML was independent, not Democrat. NORML's a nonpartisan organization. That doesn't mean that we don't think it's good when Democrats do things. It doesn't mean that we don't think it's good when Republicans do. Like, if you do something great as a Democrat or Republican when it comes to cannabis policy, great. We are going to say thank you very much. But being nonpartisan doesn't mean that we don't recognize positive or negative. We absolutely do. It's difficult sometimes for folks who just have a sort of blanket position when it comes to politics. We have a blanket position when it comes to ending federal prohibition, and that's do it right now. We also understand what the process is, though. Yeah, absolutely, Jen. We should be telling both sides. I don't know if you heard from the beginning, but we talked about some state level action that was taken by Republican governors and how fantastic that was. So, we're going to give credit where credit is due. Fact of the matter is when it comes to cannabis policy, Democrats are doing a hell of a lot more than Republicans are. But anyone is welcome to stand on the right side of history with us and with you. Sherry, thank you. Thank you for that reminder. Reminder to everyone that in Virginia, in Leesburg, Virginia, so you can come from other areas. Leesburg's up at the top of the state. Sherry over at Ink Sanity Tattoo Company is hosting a fundraiser for NORML on October 7th. So excited for that. Thank you, Kelly. That is fantastic. Don't worry, Jen. You can watch it. You can watch it over. It's going to be on the internet forever, or until I delete it. We don't delete our shows. All right, friends, this has been delightful. We've hung out for like almost an hour, and amazingly, the internet has not broken despite the torrential downpour outside. I'm excited for this 3-day weekend, and I hope you are too. And if you celebrate Father's Day, happy that. Listen, we do this show every Friday, unless I have to do something else for work. And so the best way to never miss when NORML goes live is for you to hit that like, follow, or subscribe button on whatever page or platform you're watching this live stream. We have some exciting things lined up for this summer. We will have not guest shows. We will have guests on this show with yours truly, talking in depth about what's going on in their states. We are going to do some giveaways, hopefully starting next week. If you have a product that does not contain cannabinoids, I cannot stress that enough. If you have a product you want to donate for us to do a giveaway with, hit us up. Just shoot us an email at chapters@norml.org. Hey, Mike, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. That's right, Jen. That's right, Jen. Hey, whoever wants to celebrate on Sunday, you celebrate. All right, everyone. It's been a blast. Hey, let's do this again next week. I hope everyone has a fantastic weekend, whatever you're celebrating. As always, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you back here next time. Bye-bye.